Hi everyone, this is Mary Kurek with Frontrunners Innovate magazine, and I have with me one of our frontrunners who is just doing great things in the world today, particularly has to do with PPEs. But it wasn't always PPEs, so we're going to get that backstory with Lynn Lee of Flextrapower. So Lynn, tell us your background a little bit and bring us up to how you got into Flextrapower, why the name, what you're doing, and the impact it's making now.
Thank you, Mary, for having me here today. Hi, everyone. My name is Linh Lee. I am the founder and CEO of Flextrapower. I got into this entrepreneurship journey toward the end of my PhD when I was in New York City. So as a person growing up in Vietnam, I was very lucky to get the fellowship and then get the full scholarship to actually doing my PhD in chemical engineering from Columbia University in New York. And that was back in 2008 until 2015 when I was finishing my PhD. I was very lucky to be involving in the graphene nanomaterial. So as we were getting in early with the nanomaterial, we actually have several patents during my PhD work. And then toward the end of my PhD, I have a thinking to myself, if I am not continue to working on the graphene, how the dissertation or how the patent can be actually making it to the real world. And then it struck me that there is something called a startup, there was something called the entrepreneur, and then that is where people really trying to really push the boundary and then bringing not only the technology, but then also exploring different business model. And then that was the time when I was really got bitten by the entrepreneur bug. And then my only intention at the time was to see how I can bring my technology, how I can bring the invention that I co-created in the lab, and then making it to the physical product and then bring it to the world. And then thank you, Mary, for featuring me and my previous product pre-COVID. If you look into the Frontrunner website, you can definitely see that back in November 2019, we were featuring, back then as one of the Frontrunner trying to bring the sensing technology in a connected insole that helping diabetic patient. So that has been the core product before COVID. And unfortunately, during COVID, we were in the middle of the clinical testing. We were in the middle of clinical trial. And then that was when I received a call from all of the hospital, all of the partners, hospital telling me that almost all of the non-COVID related trial need to be put on hold. That was actually really bad timing, but then I totally understand the country need to be overcoming COVID first. And now, January 2021, we are re-engaging with the hospital, trying to see how we can bring back all of the clinical trial so we can continue to help diabetic patients. So now let's go back to the mask. That was back in June of 2020, when I would say about 10 weeks, 11 weeks into COVID. My team was actually pretty bored at the time when we are not be able to work on the insole anymore, the insole project anymore. So we went back to the whiteboard, and then we were telling each other on how we can use the same or the similar technology and then dealing with the PPE solution. So at that time, me personally, I was working with another project at the time, trying to raise some money because at that time in New York City, a lot of hospital, a lot of doctor actually having a shortage in PPE. Now that was going back to April of 2020. So basically what I was trying to do was that I get a group of my friends, my professional network. We were able to raise $40,000 US, And we were basically bringing in from China and Vietnam more than 100,000 masks. And then at that time, obviously, we were able to help New York Presbyterian, we were able to help NYU Hospital, and then that was the beginning of the journey that how we can do a much better job with the PPE. What I realized then was that if I were able to raise even $4 million, then I would be able to bring in a lot more disposable PPE. However, disposable PPE is only good for the doctors, only good for the hospital. For the normal consumer, I think that is such a waste. It is such a really an environmental challenge, non-sustainable solution if everyone is using a disposable mask. So at that time, my team go back to the whiteboard, obviously on Zoom, because everybody was working remotely at the time. And then we came up with the idea that we will be designing a somewhat hybrid reusable mask using a disposable and somewhat reusable filter. And then hopefully it will be better for the general audience. And then at that time, I remember back in my PhD scientific day that one of the property for the graphene material, the same material that power the smart insole, we can utilize the graphene material as a antiviral property. So what we did was that we tried to coat the graphene material on the filter, and then we tested how the filter can be blocking or can be killing the virus. Yeah. So that is how the idea came about. I was able to pick up the phone and then talk with my supplier, talk with my partner in Vietnam, and 7 weeks later, we have the first 500 masks arriving in New York City, where our headquarters is. And then a month later, we were able to offering the same product on our website at flextrapower.com. That is the beginning of the mask
That's
business.
The story, the entrepreneurship journey. I love this. Back when you and I spoke, I think the way that I found you, didn't you guys win the T1D exchange or some kind of an award then for the insole that you were producing at that?
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes, we are very lucky to be a winner, one of the winner among the T1D exchange. And then at that time, we didn't even have the business idea. That was very early on. And then I was still credit T1D exchange to give us the opportunity to break into the diabetics network and then start offering the solution for a lot of people.
That's pretty amazing, because T1D exchange, for everybody who doesn't know, that's the type 1 diabetes exchange that actually helps innovators like Lin be able to bring their solutions to market, or at least like for you to launch, to get out there. And it's pretty amazing what you guys do, because at that point in time when we were talking, I was looking at diabetes, as was everyone, as being a worldwide epidemic, which it is. It is, no lie. And then comes along the pandemic. And then of course has everybody pivoting, you know, like you and so many of our league members kind of moved whatever it is that their solution was out in the world to kind of more closely align with what solutions were needed during the pandemic. But I love what you're doing, because, you know, you and I were talking before, what strikes me, other than just, you know, save the planet type mentality for not just throwing away so many masks, is the fact that it's another layer of security for people who really feel like they need something more than just paper between them and somebody else. It's, you know, that graphene that helps the particles just not even get through and just roll right off, means that people who have cancer and that are just scared to death to even get out of the house, but have to go to doctor's appointments, and some of them have to go get other things. I know people who are caregiving people with dementia that fear going out and bringing something back, you know, to people that they love. I was talking to a friend this morning who has a father that is very frail and ill, and somebody asked if he had gotten the vaccine yet. And she said, no, I think he's afraid that he'll get something through the vaccine.
Yeah.
So he's even scared of that, even though that might be a protection for him. He's just got some illnesses, but for her to be able to wear a mask like that, feeling like she's safer, and so she's also not bringing something back to her dad. Really amazing, to make you feel like, other than wearing some of those big bulky things that that first responders have to do all day long, that this is a really easy to wear mask. I did a little video when I got mine. You sent me a nice sample and I loved it, and actually have it, I put it right back in its little bag, and I take care of it. But I did a little video, and I hope to drop that into this piece too, to show people how wearable it is. And I know you've sent me some pictures, and we'll make sure we drop those in as well. Tell me what, we were talking, because this is fairly new to market, and the types of people that are buying it, so that people can identify that are watching this, the types of businesses. You told me there are a couple of 3 different models now that are going with the masks, and where you hope to get it to, as we hopefully move out of pandemic crazy this year, 2021, and into something that's a little bit more normal, though we feel like some of these things are still going to be in place, these protocols. But tell us, what's where are we going with this?
Sure. Here's what I think. I'm thinking that mask is becoming a new normal, really. And then I do think that people now, before going out or actually going inside, will actually putting on the mask. That should be done. That's what I think. And then as I was growing up in Vietnam, in Asia culture, really, people are wearing masks like almost every day. I grew up with my mom, with my grandparents actually wearing masks when they are going outside, and then when they are going inside. Yes, that is the main difference. And then when I'm going into, when I immigrate to the US and I start my study, not a lot of people actually wearing masks. And then it is a big difference. So now I think that that's probably one of the reasons why I think that Asia has been doing a really good job containing COVID. Maybe it would my hypothesis, which might or might not being
culturally
getting yes, exactly, culturally getting used to it. Yeah. So again, my point earlier was that I do see that mask is here to stay. Even with people getting vaccination, I think that wearing mask is becoming more adopted, not only by older generation, but also by millennial as well as younger generation as well. However, I do not see really the mask business will be continue to grow anymore. And then also the original idea for Flextrapower to getting into mask business, because we want to we want to address the shortage of PPE in that particular moment. From the vision of Flextrapower, we want to utilize the graphene technology. We want to utilize how graphene can help people live longer, smarter, and then being more informed in whatever they are doing every day. And then that was exactly one of the reasons why we are so motivated getting back into the connected insole product, even though we are having some delay and postponement in the US. However, I'm very happy to announce that we are actually having a joint venture with a Korean hospital. So we are hopefully can bring the solution, the smart insole solution, testing in Korea hospital, and then hopefully we can introduce the solution with the for the hospital client.
That's great. I'm glad you're getting back to that and you didn't abandon it totally, because I know a lot of people have been pivoting to service this need, but really have kind of dropped off whatever it is that they were doing before. And a lot of them were like you, and they were in the middle of clinical trials, and then boom,
yep,
you get a kit and just cut that all off. I've got about 3 league members that were in the same boat as you. Sure. Let me go back to a question I asked, and I grazed right past that because, and then you answered that question, so I want to go back to it. The business models that you have right now for the masks, so that we can get to that, because it's not just, even though you're selling them on the website, they are available where, and then who all can purchase these, who all is purchasing these, so people can identify?
Oh, sure. So there are three groups of people who are who are buying our mask. So number one is that people going directly onto our website at flextrapower.com. We actually selling the mask all over the world. We're actually shipping to Asia. We're shipping to Jordan and Dubai, and then we are happy to continue to do that. And then also we are actually on Amazon as well. So if you can find us on Amazon US, Amazon Canada, Amazon Mexico, and then we are about to introduce to Amazon UK and Germany. Other than that, if you are a business, then we are happy to serve you in several different ways. We can easily put on your logo on our mask. That could be considered as a better, I would say, swag or better promotional items. But then at the same time, we are working with a lot of our business clients who are trying to bring back their employee. So one of the biggest clients was a law firm in the Midwest. Somehow we are connected, and then they have been helping us not only promoting the mask wearing in the Midwest, but then also by just wearing the mask with our name, walking on the street, then they actually a walking promotion for us. So the other one we are actively doing right now, we are doing a lot of affiliated marketing. We are partnering with some distribution partner. We are working on a potential distribution partner deal with a Japanese corporation. And then we hope that we can really see how do we bring the graphene filter that can be working with not only our mask, but then hopefully the graphene filter can be fitted into any type of cloth mask. That is really the vision. We don't want that any design from our side would be like a constraint for user to use the graphene filter, because the graphene filter is the one who block the microdroplet virus who kill the virus themselves. So
that's a great idea. I mean, I don't know. I think even inside of a paper mask, it would move around maybe too much, but that's what we need to look at is having something. It's kind of like an app. You want it to be able to be on every different kind of device out there, so that not just the one kind, so that everybody can use it, right? So I like that. As you were talking, I was writing down several names because, that's what I do. But back to the insole now. So where you're at with that right now is getting back into the trials and getting that back, closer to the market. When do you anticipate, if there is such a thing as anticipating right now in this particular time frame, that if everything were to work ideally, when might that be available?
One of the biggest mistake that I made was, in 2020, was making the 2020 plan. But then still, I will need to make a plan on 2021. We are very lucky to be continue to be supported for the insole project through the National Science Foundation. We are hopefully working with NIH, National Institute of Health, at this moment, trying to bring the product to the market too. And I would say that me anticipating by later part of this year, hopefully by the end of 2021, we can finish the clinical trial. We can hopefully having the FDA clear or FDA approval for our solution. And then once those two most important steps was done, we can bring the product to the market, and then we can have our diabetic patient to start using the solution or the offering that we are helping them. Yeah.
And the solution that the insole provides, can you lay that out again clearly? I don't want anybody to miss that.
Sure. So for the insole system, we have three components. The smart insole, the companion app on the phone, could be iPhone or could be Android phone, and then the third component, which is the clinical or clinician dashboard. When you, as a user, working with our connected insole, we are collecting the data, we're collecting working dynamic, we are continuously monitoring the user foot health condition, and then automatically, continuously, the insole will connect to our smartphone app, and then from the smartphone app, we are getting the data back to the cloud, and then the clinician will be able to see if something happened. For example, if you are developing a wound, or if you are developing some threatening condition, especially high risk for late stage diabetic patient, we usually, from our system, we usually going to send a notification to the doctor saying that patient A or patient B might experiencing some potential life-threatening condition, and then we can pinpoint, literally pinpointing in what region, on which foot that patient has been having the condition.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's, I love predictive, because that's where we got to get to in a lot of these illnesses, is to predict so we can prevent, or at least pre-treat, so that it's not nearly as bad on the patient as it would be. So,
yeah.
So applause to you. A lot of hard work right now and ahead. And so we're going to drop in all the links that you need to have. And if you have questions for Lynn, I think you can get to him through his LinkedIn. We'll make sure we have that there as well. So thank you, Lynn. I appreciate it so much for the few minutes to really get to know a little bit more about what you're doing now under Flextrapower. And I see awards more in your future, right? So.
Thank you so much, Mary. It's a pleasure to be here today.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.